What is going on, YouTube? Pass the Prop is back. We're here coming at you guys with one NFL. I'm going to be dropping a college basketball spot here, obviously doing our recap as always on Monday. Joined as always by my guy, Stu. What's good, man?
Yeah, nothing much. I mean, really good weekend of NFL betting for me. Obviously, it seems like these slates where we get a big slate on a non-Sunday are my favorite days of the year. I mean, Thanksgiving was previously my best day of the year. Obviously, another huge slate. And now, obviously, absolutely murdered it on Saturday. Had a good Sunday as well. Good Sunday night football to close out the weekend. So, coming in with some good momentum right here, feeling good. Obviously, a little bit of an uglier game. Two marquee teams that we maybe hoped would give us kind of an elite end to the week, but we got a backup quarterback showdown. But hey, Thursday night was a backup quarterback showdown. I had a great Thursday night as well. I love the backup quarterbacks. Like I said on Twitter, you got to embrace the variance. You got to get a little bit weird, zig when people zag. So I'm excited to talk today's games. Excited to keep winning some more bets.
Yeah, no, I saw your recap shit. Obviously, love to see all that green in there. Unfortunately for me, dude, I can't find a bet I like in this game. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Obviously, I'll be tailing yours, but I'll be giving out my college basketball stuff today. Obviously, traveling, which is why I'm a little bit behind here. But no YouTube to play of the day. This would be my biggest bet of the day. So I'm excited to give that out here on a Pass the Prop stream. Interested to get after it in some lower level games.
Yeah, and I will just say, I mean, I know if anyone that just watches our normal show maybe doesn't watch all your videos, he's been murdering college basketball. Like I'm tailing like random teams that I've never heard of. You know what I mean? It's always these it's never like Gonzaga. Take Gonzaga tonight. It's always a team I have to name search with Control F on my sports book to find rather than just scrolling. But I will say, I know that can be hard to get by sometimes, but man, you got I'm excited for it. So if I'm excited for it, you should be too. And hey, what better to do than if you don't have a bet that you like in the NFL, then go to something that you're fucking killing right now. Who needs to waste time on Drew Lock props if you don't love them? So I got one that I like, you got one you like. Definitely pumped to make some money today.
Yeah, bro. I'm just mad, bro. That was on Saturday. I played my own. So Green Bay, obviously, I lived like 15 minutes away from there. They played in Oklahoma, and I played that as a YouTube play, bro. They scored like 14 points in the last like 8 minutes, and I still hit by 10. It was that bad. They had 22 points that first half. So I had that, and then my Kentucky, I'll click that. My Kentucky bet lost by 1, which was disgusting. Would be on a 10-0, and I'm not a guy there that's not going to say don't do those ladders. We don't do those ladder challenges and shit. But hey, you would have got to the top of your rung there if Kentucky scores me one more goddamn point. But yeah, I'm not on that ladder challenge shit. Like if you're gonna win like 6 in a row, right? Why would I not just keep the profits, bro? Why am I just gonna keep laying that shit? Like I get it, like. You want some content and clout and some money, like getting more views and shit. And yeah, it might work, but I'll keep my units and I'll keep my wins. I don't need to keep rolling that shit and hope I get 10 in a row, like 9-1, and I'd be out of money. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, doing the responsible thing isn't always the sexiest thing, right? But if you offer someone like you or me, like 9 out of 10 winning days, we're gonna jump on that 1,000 times. It may not be, you may not, like you said, get to stack it day 1 to day 2 to day 3, but that's just dumb. I mean, unless you actually like the day 9 bet 9 times more than the day 1 bet, then there's no reason you should be scaling your units like that. Like it is fully like a gambling, like content thing that we've accepted to generate content, and that's what it is. And I don't hate content. Like I like doing things for fun. I like playing long shots. It's just important that we all want to make money here, and you should acknowledge that is not a way to make money. That's a way to donate money, right? There's a reason Discords are now promoting sports books. Like they have partnerships now. Like you should be enemies. You know what I mean? That if there's a really good Discord out there, then DraftKings knows about it, and they're trying to figure out a way to crush every single winning member. So, we don't got to go into that anymore, but it is what it is. Don't ladder things unless you like it a lot. Just stay responsible. It may be a little ugly, but hey, I had a 10-unit weekend playing NFL and college football straights. Completely risk averse. We didn't get crazy, just betting straights. And at the end of the day, it's a good way to not lose $1 million in a week as well, because, okay, we break even, you get a good shot to fight again next week. And that's what we do on the show. Consistently won so far. I'm excited to, finish the year on a good standard right here.
Yeah, and talking about that, 3-1 show, another profitable. I think we're like 6 or 7 in a row, profitable shows. 9-1 over our last 10 bets on the show as well, which is awesome. This was as sweaty as you could possibly get it, but hey, shout out to Ivan Pace, bro.
Oh my God. It's one of those things where you already start getting mad, starting to anticipate. There are a couple assists. He wasn't credited with an assist until the fourth quarter. Everything was a solo tackle. And that's an insane way to get there, obviously. Finally snuck in just under the horn. Thankfully, a little extra time at the end of that game. But man, love Pace right here. This guy's been so good to me. I don't want to spoil any picks for next week, guys, but they're playing the Detroit Lions. What do we know about the Detroit Lions? They love to run the ball. So I'm just saying, Pace is going to be in play next week. Was a little sweaty, but definitely started the week out on the right foot right here. Plus money cash.
Yeah, dude, I'm still stewing about this, bro. I sat up here and talked Nick Mullen until I was blue in the face. Yep. And my ass just threw Dak in there.
Yep.
And Dak's the one that fucks me up. Nick Mullins cashed me a lot of money on Saturday. I'm happy I had some straight bets with Nick Mullen. I'm happy I had Justin Jefferson bets in there as well. And they all cashed. All the overs cashed there. But this one is the one that got away from me where I put Dak in there. Weather wasn't supposed to be an issue, and then it started pouring. Obviously, the Cowboys looked like absolute dog in that game. Yeah, only all the week, as I believe we hit the last 2 other ones against my Packers and obviously against your Washington Commanders there. If you want to talk about that at all.
Yeah, no, these were my sweatiest bets of the week. I forgot that both of the, I don't know if this was insane. Conklin was sitting at 5 targets for 1 catch all game. It finally took the Lord blessing us with Trevor Siemian coming in and just checking the ball down in garbage time. I saw a Jeremy Ruckert catch, and I was starting to get pissed off. It was looking bad, but Conklin got us there in garbage time, man. It's definitely nice to get the double plus money cashes. Obviously, the Rams were no sweat at all, just like we expected. Washington gave them a good first drive, and that's all they had in the tank. Nothing after that. No shocker at all. Continue to bet against Washington. But yeah, Conklin got the job done, 2+ money. And yeah, your white one was fun as well. 20-yard catch, just doing it in so many different ways, which is exactly what we talked about on the show and why we liked it. So definitely good to have a nice weekend. Obviously, the Dak one being the loser stings a little bit. That would have been the freest one on the card, in my opinion, right? If you just took any single leg out, I would have been yeah, obviously Dak's going to have 250. So they got crushed. That happens sometimes, but at the end of the day, still a great show. I haven't lost a pick in a week. I passed the prop Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Hopefully we keep that going today. I have a suspicion we will.
Yeah, I just saw that Underdog just tweeted out that DeMonte KZ of the Steelers is suspended for the rest of the year. And I was very surprised to see that, man.
For the Pittman
I know it wasn't
right?
a good – yeah, he hit Pittman. I think Pittman might be done, bro, for a while, bro. The thing is, though, is it's tough because the dude was going down. He was diving out. That was a shit pass. I understand he's had other violations and stuff, but, man, Pittsburgh defense might be one we want to go against now if Minka doesn't play again because, my God, that secondary is just getting smoked. Might be a spot to maybe go to next time, even though that Steelers team is just god-awful to bet, dude. They're so shitty.
Yeah. Wow. That is interesting. I was out when that play happened. I had Pittman catches or something like that. And he had 4 in the first quarter. And then, I opened up my phone a little while later and I obviously saw that. And, you kind of know there's no way a guy's coming back from that. So all well wishes to him. Hopefully gets back soon. I know Pittman's been great to a lot of people this year. Never like to see a guy go down like that, but I'm never going to be mad at a team suspending or the league doing that. But it is kind of interesting that out of all the hits this year, I think I've seen multiple more malicious hits than this one. This one was a bad one, no doubt about it. But to me, I don't know if it was a malicious hit. Like there didn't seem to be an intent to injure anything crazy. Maybe I'm, wrong. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a little bit, but that's surprising to see them do that. But, we'll see.
Yeah, no. So I just saw that information. That just came across my phone there. But we got 25 of you guys in here in the first 10 minutes. We appreciate you. We had a 9-1 week this week, guys. 9-1 this week. Across NBA and NFL. That gets us to 50-40. That is numbers that we're very, very happy to see at this point in the season. I know we got really high in the first couple weeks, had a couple down weeks, but hey, we're still here doing this content 3 years in. Obviously, we're happy to see the numbers that we have here, and just happy that you guys are still in here and choosing to be with us 3 times a week. Whether it be NFL, NBA, I guess college basketball today, but you guys are here, and shout out to you guys. Hopefully you've been involved with all of these bets and still making money with us here. Stu, you got anything to go to before we start recapping the week?
Yeah, no, I'll just say, as always, if you have any questions, you're not here live with us, make sure to drop them in the comments, drop your best bets, all stuff like that. We're looking for them 24/7. We're obviously here to answer those questions. We know it's the middle of a work day, right? We've been doing this for a while, 1 p.m., even if it is the holiday season right now. A lot of people are busy during the day. So if you still have questions, don't be shy. We're here to answer those questions. I answered one yesterday, and a guy responded like, oh, wow. This is the first person to respond to my question in a while. It's like, that's crazy. I mean, we're online so much for this job. Like we see them, unless you're getting 200, 400K, whatever, then you maybe don't see them, but we see them. We're here to answer them whenever we can. So yeah, if you got any questions, definitely drop them.
For sure. We definitely will be here. We try to get to everything. I think even on Twitter, we're usually pretty good, unless you guys are we got some haters on there. Then we just say, hey, maybe drop a little like on there for you and get on our merry way. But here we go. So, Stu, anything you want to talk about from the Week 15 slate? We haven't been together since Friday, so any of the Saturday games too would be something you could talk about as well.
Yeah, I mean, nothing was super crazy. I mean, I was high on the Bills coming into the week, which was obviously I didn't think it was going to be that good, but I was happy to see them win. I was high on the Lions after a couple rough weeks. I've been a past Denver supporter as well. I saw a very run heavy game plan in that game, and that's exactly what we saw. So for me, I felt like we're just kind of we're seeing a lot of the same things from these teams where they're showing us a little bit more of who they are. They continue to beat the same kind of teams, and they continue to lose to the same kind of teams. Obviously, the Raiders was probably the craziest game back on Thursday. We already talked about that a little bit, but I mean, maybe the Dolphins, that 30-0 ending the Jets season. Did you see that Jets line? It opened 13. By the time Tyreek Hill was out, it was down to 7. That's to me, that makes the Dolphins unbettable when you see something like that. Like that kind of movement, there's so much respect going on. And to see then the Dolphins respond, no Tyreek Hill. I mean, I didn't know it was going to be this good, right? We've seen them kind of limited against tougher teams in the past. So I would say it was impressive to see that the Dolphins still kind of rode with some tough circumstances, even though the other team was really bad. They do have a good defense. Them getting the job done was a big deal. And then, yeah, last night, the Ravens, they won. They blew them out technically. Do you grade that as an impressive performance for the Ravens? They won. It feels like every Ravens win this year, where it felt like the Texans win earlier in the season, where everyone in the world expected them to dominate them. And then yeah, sure, you win by score, so whatever. But it's interesting. I think the Ravens can play with any team in the league. I think I would bet them against almost any team in the league, except probably who they're going to be facing this week in the 49ers. So we got some good football to come. I'm definitely super excited to watch that Ravens 49ers game. I want to see, can the Ravens run on the Niners? Because the Ravens are going to try to run on every team they play. That's just their philosophy, right? And I mean, how many top 5 run defenses do they have to conquer before we start to give them respect? I mean, look what happens with the Lions earlier in the year. Look what happened this week. These teams that are supposed to shut down the run, it doesn't seem to work when they play Baltimore. So I'm super pumped for next week, I guess. That was my biggest takeaway for that night game.
Yeah, Staley, Ronnie Staley being out possibly for next week. Going to be tough. Obviously, you need those tackles ready against the Niners.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough one there. Keaton Mitchell. Hope he's feeling better. That was gross. That knee.
I think he's done.
I don't see how you could possibly get. I mean, maybe I've seen Giannis's knee do that, and he's fine. But that's also not getting tackled by a 300-pound guy. So that's always the one I equate to when that knee goes straight like that is Giannis, and then Giannis played the next week, and it was crazy. And it's like, dude, you weren't getting tackled there. But that one's always the one that sticks in my head. I want to shout out my dog of the week, bro. Carolina Panthers taking that dub, bro. I took them at +3. I can't believe that. I mean, how do you keep Arthur Smith now? 7. I understand. I saw your bet on Tyler Algier. I couldn't bet it because I have too much Bijan. But luckily for me, I had Bijan and I had buys, or else I would be really, really, really upset about having Bijan. How do you take this dude? Like, I don't understand how you can continue to keep rolling Arthur Smith there. I saw that Algier had 17 touches combined. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan, 11 touches. Bro, send this dude to the fucking shadow realm, bro. Get this guy out of here. It's a joke. It's a joke, bro. You just saw Kyle Pitts go off last week for a touchdown. Drake London went for 145 last week with Kyle Pitts there. I understand Desmond Ridder didn't play well. I understand that he did not look that good. But how do you not, like, run, like, screens or something? How do you not, like, give your guys opportunities in space, right? There was no – it was just run, and then you're trying to have Desmond, after 4 straight runs, throw a deep ball, and then, no shit, it's going to be a pick, right? I mean, that's – what do you think is going to happen when you don't give him the opportunity early in the game? We saw what happened against Tampa in that game. They started throwing the ball early in the downs. They let the ball go a little bit. I mean, that might be one of the worst losses I've ever seen, bro, from a team that's fighting to try and win a division. Are you serious? That's gross. Arthur Smith he should have been gone 6 weeks ago. But how do you take an L to Carolina and he's still there, and you're going to get rid of the guy for the freaking Staley? And I hate Staley. But I think Arthur Smith is now my least favorite coach now of everybody.
Yeah, you're not alone there. I mean, I'll say, like, it feels like he's kind of set himself up as, like, an offensive coordinator, like, in the future. Like, I don't think – because, like, you can be a bad coach and still be a coach again in the future. We've seen that before. I think the problem with what he's doing is if you're going to, like, do things your own way and you're going to be like, I don't care.
Fucking win.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you're going to, I don't care whenever anyone was drafted. It's my system, right? If I want to play Cordero, if I want to play, like, I do respect that to a certain degree from a coach. The problem is you need to get results at the end of the day, right? And there needs to be at least a semblance of logic behind it. And I'm not seeing any of that at all. Like, there's no logic, exactly like you said. Even I was on Algier very heavy. I really liked Algier this week. But I still played Bijan receptions because at the end of the day, even thinking Algier was going to have that increased workload, it just makes sense to have Bijan involved in the passing game in a game like this. And obviously it was rainy. The conditions were bad. That evens the playing field. That makes it so any team can beat any team in the NFL, right? But theoretically, a team like the Falcons should be more immune to that than anyone else because their ideal conditions should be these conditions. They don't want to ever throw the ball. They want to run it 40 times a game, and they want their opponents to do the same, and they want to play that slow, ugly style of football. So to see them lose their style of football, right, the way that Arthur Smith wants them to play, to see them lose in that fashion against a terrible rush defense and obviously the worst team in football, I mean, it's good. It's good for everyone. We get to see, the true colors a little bit more over there. If you can't outcoach the Panthers, we've got a serious problem on our hands. So I don't think he makes it back by the end of next season. It seems like a lot of these owners are, kind of cheap. They don't want to do the midseason stuff. So I think they hang on to him until the end of the year, but you're right. It's almost easy to forget this is a team that even has playoff aspirations because nobody even thinks of them in that category of football team.
No, dude, it's just disgusting. I mean, he had 2 weeks. He got 2 weeks where they gave Bijan the ball. They gave Drake London the ball. And, even when Atlanta lost last week, people were like, oh, it's encouraging. We're seeing them move the ball. We're seeing them play well. And then this thing happens, and we see this. And I understand. Yeah, Bijan fumbled, and you're going to use that as a scapegoat, bro. Like, but let's look at the fucking Rams. Kyren Williams fumbled twice, and lost both of them. And I'm like, dude, I would put Algier with Royce Freeman that far behind in terms of talent with how good the number one guy is there. And they gave Royce Freeman one drive and then put Kyren back in there, gave him 27 carries. It's just like, I don't know, man. It's bad. One thing I do want to talk about before we get out of here and we get into our plays here on Monday night, Cleveland Browns, bro. Joe Flacco, the best quarterback ever to play football, man? Is he the best player ever?
That game was insane. I mean, how does he win? He had 3 interceptions. Like, what is – I don't know. Flacco, the fact that he just pulls these miracles out of, nowhere. Like, this team is just constantly in, like, desperation mode. And their 39, 40-year-old quarterback is just coming in here and slinging the rock around. It's truly an insane team. Like, whenever I get asked about betting on the Browns, like, it's so hard. I don't even know. Look at this week. They're playing Houston as well. I had to talk about that for the Odds Trader show yesterday. It's like these two teams just got the 2 luckiest wins of the season in back-to-back, fashion. Now they got to play each other. I have no clue. I hope Joe Flacco keeps doing good things. I think that's hilarious. I think it's good for football. If we could get a Flacco Lamar Jackson playoff game, I mean, the NFL would be in heaven. I mean, that would truly be like a ratings, godsend right there. So I hope we can somehow make that happen.
Yeah, dude, I don't understand, Mo. I mean, imagine your team being like mine, where you lose Joe Burrow, you lose Kirk Cousins, you lose all these dudes, and you pick up Joe Flacco. You're moving in fantasy, man. Joe Flacco's another top 5 fantasy performance, 350, 2 touchdowns. I understand the interceptions were there, but he's making David Njoku a top 3 tight end over these last couple weeks. Yeah. It's like crazy, man. He is actually allowing the Browns pass catchers to be fantasy relevant. You had 2 of them. Amari Cooper, 100+ touchdown. Njoku, 100 yards. Like, wild, man. Wild, man. I also want to give my quick shout to my boy Trey McBride, bro. God damn. That boy is a beast. I don't give a shit how bad the Cardinals are, man. Another 10-catch game? Evan Ingram, you're my boy this year. Sit your ass on the bench in this fantasy playoffs. Your ass is gone, man. Put Trey McBride in there. 10 catches, 100 yards. This dude is a beast. And even against San Francisco in a game where they were getting their ass kicked, that was the only guy. And if Marquise Brown sits, dude, how do you not put this guy as 1 or 2 next week? I don't care who they're playing at this point. I think he's playing the Browns. I don't even care. Like, this dude just did against the Niners and just cooked them.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, the thing is, I played Trey McBride a lot this season so far, but this week to me was like the first week where I didn't play him because I kind of felt like his lines were almost unbettable, right? To the point where, like, you got to get 6 receptions, or to me, when I ladder, and if you ladder that high, I try to get down, the best value possible. And seeing, like, I felt like the ladders were kind of purposefully making it so you could not buy down very well. So I looked at it and I was kind of like, 6 is probably a little bit too much for me at juice. And then, like you said, he comes out, he gets injured too.
I know. I love that, dude. I love that he came back out there and just said, fuck it, let's go.
In a game that doesn't matter too, like he could have just easily sat that out. But the fact that he came back, I mean, yeah, it's definitely an elite fantasy asset, an elite betting asset. It's just, I wonder what that number is going to be. Am I going to have to pay like 6.5 receptions for a tight end? Like, is he going into Kelsey category? I think
he's better than Kelsey over his last 8 weeks. It's crazy, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, statistically, talent, like from what we've seen, but I mean, Kelsey also is the primary plan of attack in every team. While, I guess McBride is now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who is there now?
Well, I mean, it's almost like the Cardinals. Like, who cares what they do on offense? Like, truly, McBride. I don't want to get carried away because he's working against cover 2 shells that are sitting back and letting him eat under the middle. Like, that's why we like betting on him. It's easy to get that confused though, and put him in that elite tier. We still got it. He's got to prove some stuff first, right, before he gets there. But he's definitely in the direction. I'm still taking our guy Laporta though, fantasy legend over here. Laporta, over him for now at least.
All right, you got a rant for this week? You got to have one. I got mine, and it's gonna be. I got to get my rant in So I want to know, do you have one? Because like I said, we only got one. We're not going to talk much about this NFL game. Obviously, there's not much to say. You got one bet. We're 25 minutes in. We got 45 people in here. They want to hear a rant. What is your rant here, Stu? I know you got one.
That's kind of. I mean, I feel like it's got to be spontaneous. My teams are so pathetic right now that I'm not even mad. Like, oh, my team lost 30-0. Whatever. I didn't watch.
No fantasy guys. Nothing. You ain't got nothing on anybody.
No, unfortunately. I mean, hey, if I was doing a little bit better in fantasy football, I've got one bye week, so I've got a team still live in an important league where we're ready to go this week. But no, this week was great. To rant, you got to be mad. I had a phenomenal weekend. I was smiling the whole time. I mean, 7-0 on Saturday. I could have went 0-11 yesterday, and I still would have probably been feeling good. But hey, we didn't. Went 11-7. So for me, nothing was breaking through. I was sitting here happy. I see Reese is on the Bijan train. So I can't hate it. I'm sure the Arthur Smith guys, for me, Bijan's fucked my fantasy team so bad that most of those leagues, I'm still not alive. He's killed me already. So can't be, too mad at Arthur Smith anymore. He's already done the damage.
All right, I'll go here. Y'all already know how much I hate Mike McCarthy. Like, you already know how much I hate him. Like, this dude is a fucking dump. The dude sucks. I don't care. You guys want to say their offense is good. Yeah, they're good at home, whatever. And I don't mind the Cowboys. I really don't hate the Cowboys. But what the fuck are you doing down 28? Down 28 in the pouring rain. CD almost got hurt. This is more because I am going to lose a fantasy week because of that last drive there. But also, I'm a CD owner in my biggest league, right? What the fuck you doing playing this dude and trying to give him the ball in the pouring rain after he went out twice? What are you doing, bro? You really trying to hype your offense that much that you got to get these fucking yards? Like, you had Cooper Rush warming up, right? He was warming up on the sideline. What the fuck are you doing, bro? It's pouring. It's 30 degrees. You've already had your all-pro receiver go out twice during this game, and you're going to try to feed this dude the ball? Like, I didn't even have CD. I was playing against CD this week. Whatever. I'm more looking for the other one where I'm like, this dude is carrying my team. Fucking sit him, bro. Like, sit him out. There's 4 minutes left in this game. Why are you playing your starters down 20? You think you're going to come back? You're on 28. You haven't moved the ball all game. And now you're just going to try and dink and dunk and get all these fantasy numbers and shit. I love garbage yards. Don't get me wrong. But when it comes to, like, if it was like, okay, we're in a dome. Okay. It's 20 degrees outside. It is fucking pouring sideways. And you're going to start trying to just chuck this ball around with Dak, who they're going fucking full bore trying to take this dude's head off.
Yeah.
And CD's been out twice. Like, he was calling for a dude. Then they call a timeout, and then he goes back in. I'm like, bro, like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? I'm like, we're going to get this dude out, and I'm going to have to fucking deal with it next week for fantasy. And I know it's a little selfish there. I get it. I'm sure some people are happy that they put him out there and got those stupid garbage yards. But, like, what are you thinking as a head coach? Like, what are you thinking here? You just trying to get your numbers padded? Like, you guys got fucking blown out and couldn't stop James Cook running the same play. He ran the same play every time. Like, Mike McCarthy just go. I know Jerry Jones ain't going to get rid of him. That dude fucking sucks.
Yeah, I mean, hey, this is not a safe space for Mike McCarthy fans, definitely. But I would say for me, I can't. On the other side of that, I had CD 6 receptions in a parlay. I did parlay it with Josh Allen 25 rush yards. He ended with 24. That was my only SGP loss of the week. Unfortunate. But I will say there are plenty of people like me that I know had CD as that ladder leg, as that last little play. Maybe he just wanted to respect his fantasy owners. But as a coach.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I get it. But, like, How can you – okay, you go into a press conference. Justify that to me. How do you have this guy out there if he got hurt twice?
I mean, I can tell you exactly what we'd say. He'd say, he'd go, well, CD, he's a competitor. He wants to play. He wants to be out there with his team. He wants to be out there. Are you going to tell him not to go out there? I'm not going to tell him. That's what I imagine they'll say. These guys have like AI writing them scripts for him back there. I agree, though. I don't think there's any reason he should have been out there. You're right.
Put Cooper Rush out there. Like, you're fucking, you know what I mean? Like, you were warming him up. How do you say no? Like, how do you put Dak out there, bro? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. I just can't get over that. Mike McCarthy, I can't wait to see you lose in the first round anyway, bro.
I mean, hey, he's already starting the campaign a little early with some of these embarrassing. He's got some primetime blowouts, and now he's got some embarrassing primetime losses. So we'll see what happens come playoff time.
Yeah, bro. All right, I had to get that in there because I just can't believe that fucker just. I'm like, dude, CD's gonna get hurt, and I'm gonna get so fucking pissed. It was gonna happen. But all right, so let's get to Monday night. We got 45 live viewers in here. Hit that like button, guys. We're gonna probably go through this pretty quick because I really don't have much on this game. So you got anything on this game in terms of the four sides here? We're looking at it. I'm just pulling up my DraftKings here. Philly is now 3.5-point favorites. Lions at 45 flat. Any one of the sides that you want to go to here in terms of the four looks?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it. I know a lot of people with Eagles tickets already at good numbers. Like, man, that number with Hurts like somewhat healthy would be like the most suspicious number I've ever seen. And now that it became public information, he's sick, he's traveling separate with the team. To me, I don't think Hurts plays. If Hurts doesn't play and we get a good number, that's when I like the Eagles. That's when I then have an opinion on this game. But right now, I hate that I'm going to play as a quarterback at 40, 50%. And I understand why a player would do that. Obviously, as Hurts is a competitor, he wants to go out there with his guys and win. But from a betting perspective, that really kills everything, right? Because then you kind of have to almost ignore straight bets, in my opinion, and go for some of the longer odds and really go for the variance and crazy things. Because who knows what happens at a 50% Hurts, a 60%, whatever, feeling sick, under the weather. Maybe he goes out halfway through. That totally fucks your analysis for everything. So for me, if I had to bet something right now, I think it's obviously the under. I mean, obviously, is Drew Lock going to be the guy that efficiently moves the ball down the field against the Eagles? I mean, I get the Eagles at the end of the day aren't the greatest defense in the world, but if there's one thing we know about Pete Carroll, he's going to run the damn ball. It doesn't matter who he's going against. He's going to keep running the damn ball. And this is not a team you want to do that against. But Pete does not seem to learn his lesson. And I've watched him play the 49ers so many times as they've been the league best rush defense to know that he does not learn his lesson. So for me, I don't really see a high-scoring game, especially with backup quarterbacks. So I like the under no matter really who's out there starting. I think there'll be an explosive player too. I think DK Metcalf will have a 56-yard catch at some point, break coverage. But it's about, to get an over, you have to have sustained drives. And I don't think we see that as much. We know the Eagles like to play slower when they're on offense on the other side. So for me, I like the under really no matter who's getting out there. And I would like the Eagles if maybe it's announced that Hurts is out and we get maybe like a 2. Maybe, I don't know how aggressive the market will be about the backup situation here, but I would definitely be interested.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the under has to be it, right? I mean, dude, I looked at that game, right? Drew Lock's numbers look pretty good. If you look at last game against the Niners, but he had 4 plays over 20 yards and still had 269, right? I looked at it. That was 4 different plays, obviously, but that means the other 18 receptions were for like 120 yards, right? I mean, they're just going to be underneath dump offs. Like you're trying to get away from the pressure. DK had 2 catches. I understand his fantasy line didn't look that bad because he ended up with 13 points. But he had a 31-yard touchdown. Other than that, he was only targeted 5 times. I see everybody like trying to go to the window, trying to bet DK tonight. And I'm like, I don't want to go to DK. Like I'm away from DK tonight. I'm telling you that league I got Bijan. I have DK Metcalf and Geno Smith, so I'm on that bye this week. But I don't even think I would have played him today. I would have tried and find something else because I don't like this matchup at all for him. See, especially with Darius Slay, who you think would match one-on-one. Now they might just have a guy over the top because you're not worried about Tyler Lockett going deep on you, right? You're not really worried about JSN going deep on you. So it's like, why wouldn't you just put that guy over the top? I think Drew Lock will try and force feed. And I would love to see what his line is for 2 picks in this spot. I think that would be a spot I would like to play, if anything, because I feel like he's going to try and force feed DK when he goes 2 quarters with no catches, and he's going to go to the sideline, MF this guy, try to get plays, and nothing's going to happen because I think the Eagles are going to shut him down. I think I have to play the under. Maybe their defense just decides to score 2 touchdowns, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I see in the chat too, Hugh says you forget about Hurts' flu game in Tampa Bay. I mean, to be fair, everything I'm reading about this one, it seems the chances of him actually playing at all are less.
Yeah, I don't even think he's playing. Like, it's like, why would this line be sitting at this? If Hurts was playing, they'd be up 6.
Yeah, and Terrence, really good question right here. Thoughts on Goddard if Hurts doesn't play? For me, I do like that a lot. And it's not necessarily the check down city part. I think it's an important part of this game. Hurts, when like he is healthy, right, when he is the quarterback, he targets the middle of the field less than any other quarterback in football. He is the lowest frequency between the hashes of any quarterback there is out there. He's great outside, right? A phenomenal outside passer, but he really doesn't have any interest. And this could be a scheme thing as well. It may not be all individual talent. That just could be what the scheme asks for. But at the end of the day, that obviously is going to hurt a guy like Goddard in general. And it'll also hurt when you face a team like Seattle, who is so good on the outside, but really bad over the middle. So like, it's kind of an interesting matchup for Hurts, where I like a lot of quarterbacks in this matchup against Seattle. Hurts isn't really one of them. I would like Brock Purdy over Jalen Hurts in this matchup, because over time he's been the kind of guy that can show me that can decimate a team over the middle, make those easy passes. For me, Hurts isn't that kind of guy. He beats you in a completely different way. And for me, that path is a little bit harder against Seattle. So great question. I think the matchup for Goddard gets better if we have a backup, because in general, there's going to be no one likely that is throwing less to the middle of the field than Hurts already. So it's kind of hard to get any worse than that. And obviously, the tight end is the young quarterback's best friend, the backup's best friend. You want to get those check downs. Definitely think Goddard is in play right there. I played him last week. Would definitely be willing to go back.
Good looks. Good looks. Capper Taylor talking about it. He already won his fantasy week. Good shit. Love to see that. Obviously, don't have to worry about this sweat that we're all going to have to sit there. Let's take a look at a couple other things in the chat, and we'll get to your plays here. What's up, guys? Good Monday to Cash and Bets. We got Terrence in here, always first guy in there. Love to see it. Gerardo in there. We're ready to go. Sup, fellas? And Jared, we appreciate that. That's what we tried to do it. That's how we try to do it here. I know first year it was a little tougher because I was just trying to keep up with everything we were doing. We're doing like 3 different things, but I think we got it down a little bit easier now to make sure we get you guys all of our numbers that we've been going through here. Stu, you ready for your play here?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it.
I mean, I've been playing a lot of same game parlays a little bit more recently. I mean, I guess not too many, but I've had a lot of success with them, especially in these primetime games. Last night, obviously, had Evan Ingram. Or sorry, not Evan Ingram. I had 2 wide receivers to have 25 yards. I had Likely on the other side, and I had Calvin Ridley. And to me, it's one of those situations where, like, why are you offering me 25 yards for Calvin Ridley? Why are you? I mean, Likely, I guess, made sense because he was just mispriced. But it's constantly there are these parlay pieces that are available that I don't even think should necessarily be options. And to me, JSN and Swift both stuck out as great value to me. This is a play that I don't think should be playable right here. Minus 160 would be the range that I would have it in. So the fact that we are still getting this minus 126 over on FanDuel, and a lot of people might look at this and their only criticism would be JSN receptions instead of receiving yards. And I can totally understand that. I think the biggest thing is there's just no alt receptions on FanDuel right now. But I do think that 25 yards is something he can get on 3 catches, right? His regular line's at 3.5. So these are really, when we talked before the game, you told me you didn't like anything in this game, and I totally got that, because for me, these were literally the only 2 players that I was interested in betting. And if I didn't get a line that I didn't like on these 2 guys, then I was just not going to play it. So I was in the same boat as you were. For me, though, I think Swift in general, his rushing yards is just too low in this one. When you look at his splits on the season, in wins and losses is obviously the biggest. You see 16 carries per game for Swift in wins and 9 carries per game in losses. And I think a lot of people make the mistake and they go, well, that obviously they should run with Swift more because that means they win when he gets the ball. That's not necessarily the case right here. The case is really that we're in advantageous game scripts. We're in games where the game cannot get away from you. That's something I feel like if you've been reading my work, I've stressed that a lot recently because it's so important. When you have these situations, when you're against a backup quarterback, that means you don't have to pivot from your game plan. If you're playing a Josh Allen, a Mahomes, an upper echelon team, you're always on your feet. You might have to pivot because you might be suddenly down. You might be in a situation you didn't game plan for, and you have to work your way out of it. What I like is the Eagles are a run-first team. At the end of the day, they have a lot of good weapons, but this team is built in the trenches. Their offensive line and their defensive line. And while Lane might not be at 100% right now, him at 60% is still one of the best offensive linemen in the league. And this is a great unit. And what I like about it is, like I said, 16 rushes per game in wins. To me, that signifies that when a game is close, Swift is going to get the volume, and that's what we've seen so far this year. So I'm not out here saying they're going to crush them. I don't really know. There's a lot of unknowns in this game. The market is telling us they're a 3.5 point favorite in this game. That tells us they're probably going to be leading. I would agree with that. But whether they're leading or not, if you think the Seahawks upset, the reason I like the 40 yards mark is because that's what he's averaging in losses on the season, right? Averaging 44 yards per game in losses, 66 per game in wins. So he's getting here to these solid marks in even games that aren't ideal. So for me, that's why I like the benchmark. To me, Swift, this is one of the lowest numbers I can see him having, because at the end of the day, while Seattle was an above average rush defense earlier in the year, they've been trending downwards. Last 6 weeks, they're a bottom 10 rush DVA defense, bottom 10 in success rate as well. So teams have been having more success. I would say that's a little skewed by great rushing offenses, but I would also categorize the Eagles as a great rushing offense. So on the other side of this, who has had more receptions from Drew Lock than any other wide receiver so far? It's been JSN. That's not a shocker at all. One, because in the beginning of the year, when you're working with your backups, JSN had to take more of these reps. The chemistry is naturally going to be there. He's a rookie. He had to work his way into more snaps, which we've seen across the point of the season. But more importantly than that, the chemistry thing is very minimal. You like throwing that in there as a little, bonus, but that really means nothing. To me, what does mean something is the kind of routes he runs. The reason he's a young quarterback's best friend, the reason he's a backup's best friend is he's running very relatively small, easy routes, right? And he's a phenomenal route runner. So he's consistently winning. He's consistently open in these short, over the middle of the field kind of spaces. And while a guy, sure, like DK Metcalf will get you a 50-yard bomb at some point in the game, I believe that. I like DK longest reception. I wouldn't argue with you about anything like that. But who's going to have those consistent checkdowns over the middle? Who's going to be there where the Eagles are the weakest, right? Where do we want to target the Eagles? It's getting matchups against those linebackers, getting matchups against those safeties, taking advantage of a team that may be good on the outside, but not as great on the inside. So while I think a lot of people may focus on the bigger names in this one, I think the JSN running those simple routes over the middle is going to make 25 yards a very easy mark to clear right here. And like I said, I like 3 receptions if that becomes available as something as well, assuming it's reasonable. Definitely think that is pretty interchangeable. But when you look at him, if he's going to get 3 receptions, I think he's going to get 25 yards right here. The Eagles have struggled over the middle. So this is one of my favorite combinations of the game. Really, outside of these 2 players, I'm really not confident in too much, but I think getting these guys at these low marks for me is definitely worth the price.
All right, so I'm just going to ask you a question here. I know some guys I've had DM me about not being able to buy down as much as we've been able to buy down. If you want to take a JSN prop on his regular numbers, he's at 3.5 receptions at minus 130, or you could go to his obviously receiving yards. That's at 37.5. Would you have a preference on if you had to bet straight and not bet down on this? Obviously, I love Jason tonight. That's probably the only guy I would want to play. I didn't really figure out which one I want to do. If you had to pick one of the base numbers that he actually has the number on a book, which one would you go to?
Yeah, that's pretty easy because I think I'll probably end up adding JSN over 3.5 catches to my card by the end of the day. So for me, it's catches. And it's also because I do have a little exposure to the yards here as well. I would play both of them. When he has 4 catches, I believe he's over the yards in like 7 of the 9 or whatever. So if you don't want to worry about the juice, I mean, he does normally get there. I would say, though, if anything, it's more likely to me that JSN has a 4 for 27 kind of game than he does, maybe a 2 for 50 kind of game. Just with the routes he's running, that's how I see it. So I don't think you can go wrong with JSN props. I like the buy down here to get Swift involved, to get that real, benchmark. But I will also be playing his regular props as well. So yeah, receptions.
Sounds good. Just wanted to make sure. I've had a couple questions about that where they can't buy down. They're on maybe a local book or something like that. Where if you do buy down 25, it's like minus 700. How that is on some of those weird books. Where it's like anything minus 300 is like a minus 700 spot, right? So just want to get that out there. I know a lot of people usually ask about that. We've been doing this 3 years, guys. I kind of know what questions you're going to have on here. At least we've been doing it long enough where we think we do. So I want to make sure we get that out there instead of you guys having to reach out and do that. All right, Stu, I'm sorry. We're getting off of football here. I'm going to go to college basketball now. I think it's time for that. This is probably my favorite play of the slate. It's only a 19-game slate, not a huge one. But let's talk a little bit. Sorry, guys, I know you're here for some NFL, but I didn't have an NFL bet. I want to make sure you guys are getting plays that I'm going to be playing tonight. And this is probably my favorite one. 60 live viewers in here, 45 minutes in. Thank you guys so much. Hit that like button, please. Obviously, Stu's been super hot here. Hopefully, we can stay hot on our college basketball spots. I'm going to a game I know that Stu was not looking at on the slate here. I don't even think there's many really big teams playing today, but I'm going to go to UNC Asheville. Team total over 81.5 in this spot against South Carolina State. It's the early game, so make sure you lock this in. It's a 5 o'clock start Central Time. But I've been loving these team totals, and I've been liking these team totals in spots where if you go off of season-long data, it's not good. Like, this is not a good bet to take, right? If you look at season-long data, right? You look at UNC Asheville, they got smoked last game by Auburn. They lost to Western Carolina, who actually is kind of good. I kind of like that Western Carolina team there. They're averaging 82 points on the season, but it's because they played a couple D2 teams in there, sprinkled in there, where you could just, you know how it is. You have one of those low games. You just send the house, try to get that 100 and get out of there. But I really like the spot against South Carolina State. If we look at South Carolina State, they play extremely fast. They are very, very, very bad defensively. They rank 343 in terms of defense, adjusted defense. There's about 360 teams. So that means they're bottom 20 in terms of adjusted defense. They play extremely fast, which I think is going to be very beneficial here. Top 100 in terms of pace. They still haven't played anybody. They've been playing absolute dog shit teams outside of Pittsburgh. And that's one thing I do want to talk about is when they have taken steps up to quote unquote decent teams. Pittsburgh, 86 on them. Bethune-Cookman, that they're like a bottom 20 adjusted offensive team. Scored a 80 on these dudes, right? Played Missouri. They got smoked. They scored 82. They gave up 96 to South Florida, who I hate. I think I bet on them, and they've done nothing for me. But UNC Asheville, they made the tournament last year. And they got my boy Drew Pember down there, 6'11" center. The biggest guy in the starting lineup for South Carolina State, 6'6". What are you going to do against a guy who scores 20 and 10 on a nightly basis? What are you going to do against this guy? They're going to absolutely cook them. Looking at their numbers here as well, they give up 36% from three on the road. Love that. They're getting smoked from the three-point line. And guess what? UNC Asheville's got some shooters. Drew Pember, 6'11", still shoots 36% from deep. Go to their number 2 scorer, first name Fletcher. I'm not going to try to say the last name. He shoots 46% from three, 30% across the board for every other guard on this roster. So we've seen them take a couple steps up. UNC Asheville is very, very good adjusted offense, but they've also played some really good teams. These guys actually have a pretty tough strength of schedule, which, like I said, you look at their full numbers, they're not going to be getting to this number very often. Like I said, Auburn, tough team, obviously SEC team. UNC Wilmington's played pretty well this year. They played Michigan this year, scored 74 on them. But now you're playing a team that plays fast, terrible defensively, have no size, not going to be able to guard the three-point ball. I think UNC Asheville smashes this number, man. I really like this spot. Buy low number. If Asheville played a couple scrub teams before this, dropping 85, this number should be sitting like 84.5. So sign me up. I love UNC Asheville, and especially when it's a 14-point spread, you want them to keep it a little bit closer. But teams that I want to back, guys who can make free throws. Top 3 scorers on this team. The 6'11" Drew Pember shoots 81% from the line. I love that. The other 2 guards that'll be on the floor with them shoot 85 and 95% from the line. That is huge. South Carolina State fouls a ton. Woo, I'm ready for this game, baby. I know nobody else is going to be watching it but me and about 9 other guys in this entire stadium. And guess what? I'll be ready for it. Sign me up for UNC Asheville team total. I love it.
It's going to be 9 other guys, you and a couple people on DraftKings just checking every once in a while. Like, how's this game going right here? That's going to be me. But, hey, I feel like whenever you do drop plays like on here, it's always like teams that can't play defense against a team that most people just ignore and they kind of throw away and we just end up betting on. Like, I feel like every time you explain to me a bet, I know we did one with Mike Randall over from FTN last year on the show. It was the same exact thing, 10 of like, let's just take these 2 fast-paced teams and take the over on the one team that nobody cares about, right? But has some underrated guys. I think I bet on Pember in the tournament.
In the tournament. He's nice.
Yeah, so it's always funny too, as someone that really doesn't know anything about college basketball, but I like betting and I like making money, that I see these names that I've forgotten about completely until like you told me to bet on them. Like what's the Paladins?
Furman, baby. Furman
there
Paladins.
We go. Like I always recognize those names because I bet on those guys in the tournament last year. So hey, it's good to see. I mean, you guys know I've been on Twitter, 3 years every single day. There's only like 3 people that I would ever tail without knowing a sport. Like it's, to me, that I feel like that's the ultimate respect you can show someone as a bettor at the end of the day. It's like, how could I possibly listen to your play unless I really know that you know what's going on? And that's the case right here. I've made a lot of money tailing your college basketball. So, hey, I might not know anything about UNC Asheville. I don't know where it is in comparison to all the other UNC schools. Is this in-state? Are we a satellite? I don't know what the deal is here. I don't really care. I just want them to score 82 points tonight. And, hey, I feel like we've got a pretty good chance.
Yeah, dude, there's just some of these teams that are just absolutely god-awful playing these just high-scoring affairs. So, I mean, dude, like I said, Drew Pember, Furman, those teams that we back in their own conference stuff. Obviously, Furman's been a beast. It's going to be fun. So I'm excited. Again, probably only 10 people watching this game. I'm hoping I got to check and see if I can just ESPN Plus this one because that's the only way you're finding these. Shout out ESPN Plus. They put a lot of good games on there. A lot of those low-level games that I bet on, ESPN Plus is an absolute just plug for that. So we got no affiliation with ESPN Plus, whatever, but just shout out them because they give you a lot of games. Like you can even rewatch games, which is awesome. It's just really nice to have that as a place to go for a lot of these, like, you're not finding this on Streamies, bro. They ain't going to be putting this game on Streamies. They ain't putting this on Crack Streams, bro. You got to find this on some random shit. So shout out ESPN Plus for being the plug.
Real degens will know. Streaming online for somebody for if you're a golf guy, oh my God, especially if you've ever tried to bet on a European golf tournament, good luck finding those streams. It takes me to like 2 hours, and I agree. If ESPN Plus, do they have women's by any chance as well?
They have girls games.
Because maybe that'll have to be an investment. Because all I can say is women's basketball live lines are like, I mean, obviously the regular ones are terrible. I've already talked about that. Oh my God. If you're a favorite going into a game and you're losing by 20 points, you'll still be like -1. But the worst part is I don't watch the games. So like, I'm like, is -1 a fair number? Like are the Georgia women's Bulldogs like just going to get hot right here and come back from 40? And I'm just watching. I'm like, no, they're not. These lines are just terrible. But I can't find any of these games on the internet because even you find a freaking UNC Asheville stream for guys, they definitely don't have it for girls basketball out there. So maybe that is the selling point out there for at least a couple degenerates. Maybe I got to get on this ESPN Plus because I feel like I'm just leaving money on the table with some of these spreads right here. So maybe I'll be joining you pretty soon.
Yeah, and they got UFC too, which on these smaller cards, I always have money on those. So it's nice to have that as an option there. But yeah, I'll count this as a YouTube play of the day spot as well. Obviously 9-1 on our last 10. Hopefully we can get to 10-1 with UNC Asheville Bulldogs in action tonight. Stu, let's get a quick recap in here. We still got 50 of you guys in here, 53 minutes in. Thank you guys. Hit that like button if you're not subscribed to the channel. Hit that quick, and let's take a peek here at our bets for tonight.
Sounds good. Got a same game parlay. No, it's a little bit of an ugly game, but we're still pulling through. We got JSN 25 receiving yards. We got DeAndre Swift 40 rushing yards, -126 over on FanDuel.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'll be rolling with a college basketball spot. UNC Asheville Bulldogs, team total over 81.5 on DraftKings at -115. FanDuel, I think, is like -125. But I would probably take this up to 83.5, to be honest. I really like this spot. And shout out Drew Pember. Go for a 20-piece tonight. Let's go crazy. Let's see those 3-point shots start falling here. Good bounce back spot after a tough match with Auburn.
Yeah, if I can get a Pember line, should I bet it? I could probably.
I would be extremely, extremely impressed if a book is giving you a Drew Pember line. Because if he gets, dude, I would take him to 25 points. Bro. Like they don't have any size, bro. Like that's like you playing against a 5'5" guy, pretty much.
No, you know what I mean? Like, I had no clue. That was my favorite part of the analysis. When you said that he's 6'11" and no one on the other team's like 6'7", I'm like, okay, I got to find a line on this guy. Like,
I doubt they're going to give it to you just because NC State doesn't know that much.
Bet Online, they put props for games that shock me. I'm pretty sure they had a Rio Grande Valley game props the other week. Like, no joke. Because I'm just bored. I'll scroll through. Like, I'm just trying to find places to make money. When I'm bored, that is what I'm trying to do. And, like, I see crazy games listed. And sometimes Prize Picks. If it's a bad slate, Prize Picks will also do it sometimes as well. So just something to keep. If I find a Pember line, I'll post about it in my Discord, and I'll
shoot me a message if they do. I don't even have Prize Picks, but shoot me a message. I'll re-download it. I haven't had it for like 2 years, so they're gonna give me a Pember line in this matchup, dude. I think it's gonna be pretty filthy.
Hey, there you go. We got you covered in the NFL prop streets, and then the random, vague college basketball prop streets as well. So hey, that's that. You got to keep your ear to the ground at all times.
All right, so you got anything for the people here? We're hitting on that hour spot. We still got 45 people in here, 55 minutes in. Thank you guys so much. Stu, what do you got for them?
Yeah, earlier I was all like, oh, leave a comment. We're here to help you guys. Well, if you're going to leave a comment, you might as well leave a like while you're down there. I mean, it feels like that's kind of the respectable thing to do. If I ask someone a question, you want to do them a favor. So for me, you leaving a little like, leaving a subscribe. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but like 50% of the people that watch this show aren't subscribed. To me, that seems a little bit silly. If you subscribe, this really cool thing happens where it just pops up when you open the app and you can just click on it directly. And as someone that is on my phone a lot, I like to save steps. Okay. You don't got to be searching, monotone, whatever. Click the link, hit the open in YouTube link. That's like 5 extra steps. You're creating yourself weekly. The same people come back and aren't subscribed. So make it easier for yourself. Make it so it freaking pops up at the top. Hit that big red button. Get the job done. It's pretty simple. Like, I mean, this isn't even my YouTube channel. I'm saying all this stuff just because. So you should listen to me. I don't really benefit from it that much. Yeah, I don't know. I've kind of lost it. We were going strong right there. So you got to start talking real quick.
Yeah, I can take it from here. Again, guys, 50 and 40. We've been tracking everything we got here. Make sure you guys take a look at Stu's play if you haven't already. Remember, we had the recap about 5 minutes earlier. Always pop back there. To find our spots and make some money tonight. Obviously, like I said, I'm not going to put out stuff. When you got a record like that, man, I ain't going to mess around. If I don't like a play, I ain't going to mess around with this number. You know how much time and effort goes into getting this number where it's at there. We obviously want to keep it there. So, hey, what's the point of me saying, hey, go bet on Drew Lock interception minus 250, whatever it is, probably minus 500. Ain't gonna throw that out here, you know what I mean? So want to make sure we get spots that you guys can make money. It's not even gonna count for our record. Maybe I'll just have it as a spot there. I'll put it on YouTube for our YouTube play of the day, but we're not gonna track it on college basketball. I ain't gonna put that in here all the time. But appreciate you, Larry. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, we try to keep it under an hour in this spot. Obviously, we had a lot of stuff to talk about with some good games this weekend. And hopefully we're able to get some money here. Appreciate all you guys for tuning in. And hopefully we'll be able to talk about it on Wednesday. Maybe we'll talk NBA on Wednesday. We'll still talk about that, figure out something. Because I'm assuming just because every primetime game just turns into an absolute shit show. Hopefully we can find a spot here that we like, and make sure you guys are tuning in for that one. Hit the subscribe button, hit that like button on your way out, guys. And we will see you on Wednesday for another round of Pass the Prop.